Tennessee's offense was outside the top 25 in the EA college football offensive power rankings. So let me ask you, is this an oversight? Is this a disrespect? Or is it Nico's a freshman? Because those are the only three I can come up with.
There is absolutely no way this is anything but an oversight. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how you could leave Tennessee's offense outside of the top 25. Some of the offenses they have in here, Dave, just make no sense. One of them is, I'm going to have your head explode. Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech at number 24 has a higher rated offense than Tennessee. Virginia Tech averaged 29 points a game last year, had the 57th ranked offense. Tennessee in a transition year averaged 31.8 points a game and had the 37th ranked offense. How do you do that? How do you put that ranking? Some other ones. We're talking SMU was rated higher than Tennessee. NC State was rated higher than Tennessee. Kansas was rated higher than Tennessee. Notre Dame was rated higher than Tennessee. Penn State rated higher than Tennessee. And probably the one that's going to anger people the most, Colorado at number 8 after a 4-8 season in the Pac-12 has an offense ranked higher than Tennessee's. Now, I want to upfront say, I believe in Shedeur Sanders. I think he might be a better NFL prospect than Nico. NFL, not college, but he might be a better NFL prospect than Nico. But Colorado's offense as a whole being better than Tennessee's when Deion Sanders demoted his offensive coordinator halfway through last year to begin with? Where do you get that?
I don't know. I don't understand. It has to be an incredible oversight. And it would be embarrassing for EA Sports. I guess there's a possibility that somebody in their marketing department said, let's come up with something really goofy to get guys like Dave and Caleb talking. Is there any chance that was it, that this was premeditated, that this was orchestrated? I just don't see because you lose all credibility. If they came out today and said, oops, our bad, that was a horrible oversight, I would say, been there. And you have too, Caleb. We've all made mistakes when it comes to lists and those sorts of things. And I've let people off list. I was like, Dad, blame it. So I would have some respect for them. I would be fine with it. But if just to stick by it, let me try to talk myself into Tennessee not having a top 25 offense. And I'm gonna throw them at you, and you tell me if that's just crazy. All right. Freshman quarterback.
Well, one, he's red
shirt freshman quarterback. Inexperienced quarterback.
Okay.
Good
Oklahoma has one too. Oklahoma has an inexperienced quarterback. LSU has an inexperienced quarterback. They're both ahead of Tennessee on this.
So
there's quite a few.
That means Dave.
You suck, you jackass.
All right. Next one. Thin offensive line. Tennessee has the thin offensive line. If one guy goes down, I got concerns.
Do they really have a thinner offensive line than Colorado?
Dave?
You suck, you jackass.
I'm trying to do the best I can here. Okay, Tennessee's receivers are unproven.
Are they?
Are they? I'm trying my best. Okay, Tennessee lost a ton of production in Jalen Wright and Jabari Small. Now, that's a realistic argument. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that. Now, the running back position is not going to be as good, you wouldn't think, right?
LSU lost a Heisman winner, and they're number 6.
So just oversight? Is it as simple as that?
It has got to be an oversight. And by the way, I want to be fair to another school. I don't know who is doing these rankings because someone was high, because it can't just be an oversight because, Dave, USC was number 25. Now, Lincoln Riley, you can criticize his defense and a lot of things, but should the Lincoln Riley offense ever be outside of the top 10 in these ratings?
Probably not.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be inside the top 10 as a coach, but probably not in offense.
Yes. I think they're overvaluing returning quarterbacks or quarterbacks they've seen play Maybe that's the only thing, even though Oklahoma doesn't have that. So I don't know how they're so high, or LSU. So I take maybe not actually. I don't know. They had a deck of cards with team names on them and just shuffled them out and threw them out. Like, oh, let's get this guy number 1. Or let's get this team number 1. USC shouldn't be number 25 in offense. Tennessee shouldn't be outside of the top 25 in offense. Both of those offenses should be in the top 10.
It was bizarre. I saw it yesterday, and I thought it was a mistake. Mead Drinker says, how many teams that we play will make us the focal point around their whole season just to stop Nico? Well, I think that depends what happens in September. Does Tennessee really let it rip against Chattanooga? Does Tennessee play well against Oklahoma and win? I don't think that necessarily Oklahoma is going to be all in to stop Nico any more than they would any other quarterback. But I think once Nico shows the nation what he can do, and I'm sorry, the bowl game against slow Iowa doesn't count, but once he shows everybody what he can do, then I think defenses had better be wary of his ability. And I do think that defenses will start to prepare for Nico more and more and more.
I don't think the Iowa game is worth an oversight at all. I think the Iowa game remember, I've been saying this for a while. Iowa's whole philosophy, it's actually kind of like Tim Banks' philosophy, but in a different way, because they don't blitz a lot. They play a bare 4-2-5 coverage, and they basically say, we're going to make you work 5 yards down the field the whole time and run a lot of plays to try to score, and we'll give up those yards, but we're banking on the fact that the more plays you run, the more likely you are to make a mistake at some point.
Let's clarify really quick what a bare 4-2-5 for those that don't know. 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, much like Tennessee runs.
Except when they run their nickel package, it's really a dime package. So it becomes a 4-1-6. And sometimes Iowa would do a 3-1-7 if you guys were watching. They play the softest coverage. Their whole philosophy is keep everything in front of us, and the more plays you run, you will make a mistake at some point. And Dave, Nico, in his first start as a freshman, who was recruited to be able to throw the long ball and to be able to put up tons of points, was incredibly patient in that game, right? Very methodical, very much picked apart the defense.
Doesn't mean a lot to me because I knew it.
But people thought that as a freshman who was recruited to have the big arm, that they were looking for the big play. They were looking for the 50-yard Hendon Hooker to Jalen Hyatt style offense.
I mean,
and
surely I hadn't seen practice tape last year. Surely not.
I'm sure you did. But still,
not.
Dave, like, honest question. I don't even think Hendon Hooker could have picked apart that offense as a 6th-year senior in 2022, the way Nico did.
Really?
Hooker would have tried to force the deep pass at some point. The same way Joe Milton did. How often did Joe Milton try to force the deep pass when he was just getting frustrated?
Okay, so you're now telling me that Nico Iamaleava is not only a better runner, is a better thrower, okay, than Hendon Hooker, but he's also better from the neck up. I don't know that yet. I'm not willing to go there. I think
I saw a level of patience in Nico Iamaleava that I don't see in many quarterbacks. I've never seen that level of patience in a young quarterback ever. When Iowa is constantly making you settle. You know how, Dave, let's be honest. We watch, as a fan, how hard is it to just keep settling? Eventually you want to hit the home run, right?
Yeah.
And did you ever see him get desperate? Did you ever see him get frustrated and try to like just go for it all? No, he settled the whole game. Have you ever seen a freshman quarterback with his talent do that?
Depends if I've seen the practice tape or not, I guess.
In a game, have you ever seen a freshman quarterback with his talent do that? Ever in your years of watching football? You covered the Brent Schaefer and Eric Ainge saga in 2004. Eric Ainge was actually really good a lot of times. He had moments where he was trying to hit the home run, but didn't he? As good as he was?
I think when you have 2 quarterbacks, it's natural to want to go out there and play outside of yourself, to play better and not play within the game. I think Hendon Hooker probably did that at times early when he took over for Joe Milton, which is why he didn't play as well in 2021. I think he was like, I got to hold on to this position. I mean, he played well, but he took another step. in 2022. So
what about Casey? Casey in 2000. I feel like Casey didn't Casey get a little impatient if you were going to make him work the field sometimes?
I think he got impatient with drops and fumbles. I think very impatient. I think that was his concern, and it wasn't just in games; it was at times in practice too. So I think Casey was never a guy that would come out and say it, but I think there were times where he's like, "My guys, my skill position players have really let me down," and it was no more evident than the 2001 SEC championship game when Dante Stallworth had a fumble, and they also who was the running back who had a fumble as well,
Travis Stevens.
Julian Battle dropped a surefire interception for a touchdown.
Casey also threw Kelly Washington on 4 fades into the end zone from the 4-yard line, or 3. Tennessee is trailing LSU by a touchdown. They get inside the 4-yard line. First, second, third down. Randy Sanders calls 3 fades to Kelly Washington, and Casey missed him on all of them.
So you're blaming Randy on that or Casey?
I'm blaming both, but I am blaming Casey more because I don't know. The weird part about that LSU game is, do you remember how Tennessee could not run the ball at all in that game? They couldn't buy any yards on the ground. And so Randy had no fades.
That was a guy named Booger, wasn't it?
Is that when Booger McFarland played for him?
Yeah, I think so.
They couldn't buy it.
They didn't get a push.
They didn't. The offensive line actually should have been ashamed with how they played that game, quite honestly. But yeah. So all I'm saying is that Nico ran a lot against Iowa in the Citrus Bowl, but all of his runs were smart runs where he knew it was only going to be like 4 or 5 yard gains. He ran a lot. He threw over the middle. He never, ever even tried the deep ball, I felt like. The one thing I'll say with Hooker with Nico right now, if I'm going to say Hooker's better than Nico, one thing, I do know Hendon Hooker is an amazing leader, and I don't know if Nico's that yet. I believe in him, but, I mean, Dave, Hendon Hooker's a guy that...
I can answer that question for you. He's not. He's not an amazing leader right now. And he may be one, okay? But there's a reason that everybody was telling us on and off the record that in spring they were pushing him to be more involved with the offensive linemen. Remember that? They were pushing him to be more talkative. That's not his natural nature. His nature is a confident, quiet guy. That's not to say he can't change, but right now, no, I don't think he has the leadership ability of Hendon Hooker.
And okay, so that makes sense. And Hendon Hooker, to be fair, among quarterbacks who are leaders, one of the best in Tennessee history, right? As just a leader of the team.
Right. Like, we're comparing something I drew to the Mona Lisa. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. I mean, Hendon Hooker, I almost consider him like Peyton Manning level as a leader at quarterback. And maybe even like Peyton Manning's a better quarterback. Maybe Hooker was even a better leader because Peyton Manning, I think he had a lot of players scared of him. Honestly, Peyton did, with how he would come down on them sometimes.
Yeah, Greg McElroy scared to death of him.